Happy Friday, everybody. Justin and I are bringing you another coffee call this week, and today we're going to dive into the new products that we really want to try for next year. We had someone reach out to us and really wanted to know what we were going to dive into as far as products for next year, and I thought it'd be a good topic to cover just because we're fresh off the ATA show when everybody launches their new gear, and I thought we could dive into that today. What do you think about it?
Yeah, it's some pretty cool stuff. I personally did not go to ATA. Everybody at the office did, but I don't think you did either, right?
Nope.
So,
I didn't get a chance. I was actually trying to film my last tag in Ohio. So
yeah, same here. I was still hunting Iowa, but I don't know. It's all on YouTube, and there's a lot of videos about these reviews, on the stuff we're going to talk about, as well as a lot of other products that we're not going to have time to touch on. But like Aaron said, these are just a few of the things that have kind of caught our eye, and that we're going to try to put some effort into using. Because who doesn't love new stuff, especially if it makes your life easier or makes you more accurate, lets you shoot farther, whatever the case may be. So what's first on your list?
So first on my list is something that was creating a pretty big buzz, I think, at ATA from what I've heard, and it is the new Lone Wolf IV/VG arrow inserts.
Yep. I saw that.
This
too.
one, when it came out, and when it came out, there was a lot of I don't know. There was a lot of things I was like, well, there's no way that's going to be effective at all. And so to kind of give a little rundown of what it is. So Lone Wolf Custom Gear came out with arrow inserts this year, and there's two of them. So there's one that goes on the broadhead side, and then there's one that goes on the nock side. And they are vented. So they have a venting system that allows blood to flow through the arrow shaft and out the nock side of the arrow. And this is only true if it's, a non-pass-through hit. So that's what they've designed this for. So, a lot of guys, they'll get good penetration, but it won't go all the way through, and it's, it might be a high shot or something, and they just don't get a lot of blood. So this is designed to have blood flow through the arrow shaft out the nock point so you can get essentially a blood trail.
Right.
But when I looked at it, it's very, bulky on the front, and I think it adds 72 grains to your arrow. I think that's the full system, both nocks. So which helps with your FOC, your front of center. So if you think, FOC in a roundabout way is like you think of a dart, and why you want your arrow to be weighted heavier on the front is because the arrow is going to follow that weight. That's kind of the best way I can describe it right now, just in short term. So this arrow insert, I was like, this is sweet. Like, this is technology I hope would take off. And so a lot of people might be thinking right now, well, if it's vented, once you get into the meat and the tissue and everything, it's just going to close those vents. Well, not necessarily. So they have designed a technology called fluting. I think that's what it is, fluting technology, that it ensures that the vents don't get clogged by the meat or the hair or any organs or tissues. So the way that the insert on the broadhead side is fluted or cut, you'd have to check it out, but it makes sure that it does not get clogged. So yeah, and one of the big things that they discovered while they were testing this out is it was like it was a accident. By accident, they at 40 yards they were actually shooting 3 inches higher. They were shooting flatter and more accurate because this insert on the broadhead side, it actually creates a vortex. So it takes more air off of the arrow and creates less drag. So your arrow is actually shooting flatter and more accurate. And I guess you're supposed to get better penetration, which is kind of hard to believe, though, because it's kind of bulky, like I said.
Yeah, and it's, like, in theory, like, it's hard to explain and it's hard to visualize if you haven't seen this thing yet. But, the physics behind it, I think, is the same principle as, like, the way drafting works. Like, if you get behind a tractor trailer on the highway or, in a NASCAR race, how everybody's so close together. Like, that guy in the front is, he's breaking wind first. He's taking all the drag, and then everybody else benefits from that reduction in drag. So this thing on this insert, like Aaron said, it's 75 grains, but and it kind of looks, I don't want to say ridiculous because it sounds like it works pretty damn good, but it's not something that you would think twice about putting on your arrow if you didn't know what it was doing. But
Right.
this thing's like the tractor trailer, and your arrow shaft is like the car. Like this thing is breaking all that wind, and taking the drag off the arrow shaft, like Aaron said. It stabilizes faster. It actually shoots faster, and you're getting better groups at those longer ranges, 30, 40, not even a longer range, just any shot.
Yep.
Fact is, they're all hitting higher.
Right. And they're shooting, like they said, they're shooting more accurate and getting better speeds out of their bows as well.
Yeah.
So, and to go to some of what possibly could be cons of this, in my eyes, would be noise would be one.
Yeah.
Testing it against a deer's ear, not a human, but a deer and what they can hear. I don't know if they've done that. I guess they said it's not loud, not any louder than what an arrow would be, normally. The other thing is, which some guys, I just listened to a podcast, Bowhunter Chronicle podcast. They came out and they were talking about this arrow as well, and they brought up a good point that I didn't think about. And now with these vents and these arrows, what if you get some sort of mud or rain, in this arrow? Is that going to change your FOC, or is that going to change your grains at all? So that'd be another thing I'd be kind of leery about, but it's something definitely I'm going to look into. I think they're going to retail at somewhere around $12 or $13 a piece per arrow.
Yeah.
So you'll get two, one for each side. That'll be a set of
Yeah.
the arrow. So it'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, it will be. I think it's one of those things that if people kind of take to it and start having success with it, again, there's no reason to shy away from stuff that's going to make you better, more efficient, more effective. So I
Right.
think if it's received by the consumers as well as they hope it's going to be, then I think it's something you might see a lot more of, and possibly even more manufacturers, designing similar products.
Definitely. Well, cool. Let's move on. I mean, we spent roughly 9 minutes on that one, and we want to keep this a shorter podcast. So let's move on. What is the first one on your list?
Man, just because I spent so much time with it this year, I think I would go with that Insights pack that we talked about in I don't know what episode it was, but so Insights is a relatively new brand of packs that's out there, and they're available in retail stores. I know Simmons is a big one that carries them. They're on Amazon. You can find these things just about anywhere right now. But the one I used a lot this year, just because I was running and gunning, a lot of my sets were hanging hunts this year. It's the Vision Bow Pack. And what it is a backpack with a bow case built onto it. I saw this thing, I think 4 years ago at ATA when they were like in the design stages of this thing. And, it caught my eye then just because being a cameraman, like I wanted to see a backpack that could take my hunting gear and my camera gear. And that's where this design started. And it just evolved into this to where there still are parts of this backpack that integrate, the user friendliness that we look for as camera guys, but the most obvious thing is the bow holder on it. So if you imagine a soft bow case, that zips, and you cut that thing in half laterally, I guess, like the short way, and attach that part of the case to a backpack, that's what this thing looks like. And for me, I was actually using this as a way to get my tree stand in. I would carry my bow and put the stand in the bow holder. It's just, instead of having to wear one on your chest or wear your backpack or wear the stand on your back and strap everything to it, this has everything built into one. And that was just something I found, as dual purpose. You can throw your bow in there if you're just going to a stand or if you're traveling. But I started putting my tree stand in it, and it just made it a lot more comfortable to carry, a lot quieter. There's nothing banging on the metal, on the platform. And, it's got some other cool features. It's got a quiver holder on it. It's kind of like a pouch that hangs a little bit lower down the side of the pack, kind of like where those side pockets would normally be. But instead of being attached directly to the backpack, like on the material, it's attached with a strap that's adjustable for length. So you just slide the top end of your quiver in there full of arrows, your fletching stick up, and then you can secure them to the side of the pack. So, I mean, just like if you're packing out meat or if you're just on a spot and stock, you don't need the access to that stuff immediately all the time. It stows away nice. One thing I noticed about this that was a huge factor for me was how comfortable the straps were. They're nice and wide. The pack sits high on your back. It doesn't weigh you down. It doesn't sit in your lower back at all. It's got a waist strap. The only question I would have, and there may be an answer to this, I just don't know it, is if it qualifies as, I don't know what the right word is, a certified case. Like I know in states like Illinois, you're supposed to have your bow in a case if you're in a vehicle. So I don't know if this is certified for that. I think we're going to try to get one of the guys from Insights on the podcast here for a full episode, and that's something we can ask them.
Yeah, that's a big one that I was kind of worried about too, because I really want to dive into this pack as well. It's something next year I'm definitely going to be using because, we've been talking about it the last week or so where I want to do some sets this year with a run and gun, and I'm going to get a little more into that and the stuff that I want to try to make running gunning a little better for me. What I'm going to kind of break into that, that realm of hunting with. But I agree. I mean, I would use that pack just like you did with a stand. I'd put a stand in it and carry my bow in, and it holds onto your sticks as well, right? You had a good spot on there where you could put your sticks or your climbing method, whatever you're using.
Yeah, I would use the sticks, and sometimes I was carrying 4, sometimes 5, but I was utilizing that arrow quiver holder because there's one on each side of the pack, so I could put my arrows in that on one side, and then strap all my sticks together, cinch them down tight, and then stick them into the quiver pouch on the other side of the pack, and strap those up just the same way. So everything is stored horizontally against your back. There's nothing low, like I was saying. It does have those straps on the bottom to where you could roll up your jacket or your vest or some extra pants or whatever. Like if you're walking in and you want to keep those layers light until you're set up. There's just a lot of functionality to it. There's plenty of straps to get a lot of equipment in there, and it still does function as a normal backpack. It's got two compartments, I guess, of the backpack. Your main pouch there that's like you would expect in any backpack, and then the front pouch actually is kind of a smaller mirror image of that larger section. But they also have on the inside a system that has those adjustable straps on it. So when you hang that backpack up in the tree, that front pouch actually folds all the way down, opens all the way up and folds down to where it acts like a shelf for you. There's a pouch inside, so once it's open all the way like that, nothing can fall out of it. There's a piece of mesh on the inside of that front zipper pocket. I don't know if I'm explaining it thoroughly or not, but if you can...
No, I totally get it. It's like a shelf that folds out. Yeah.
And, it's just it seems like there's a lot of thought into it, into the design of it. So,
yeah, for sure. And I haven't even seen what they've come up with this year. Did they have anything new come out this year?
I think what they did this year was just some different color options. It's been available in Realtree. All the ones I have are in Realtree Edge, but I think they came out with some solids this year. And I'm not sure about any other design aspects of it. I haven't seen the brand new ones yet.
Okay. Well, like you said, we were going to have them on the podcast. We're getting that in the works right now and talking to those guys. So, and that's another thing, like in Michigan with a certified bow case, we have to have our bow in a bow case at all times, like in a vehicle. So that's going to be one of my big questions as well. But I don't need it for a bow case because, like I said, for run and gun setups, or even if I'm not doing run and gun, take it out of your case, then put it in the pack, and then you can take it in. And that eliminates a bow rope as well if you don't don't like using a bow rope. Or so there's a lot of cool, unique stuff that pack that does. So I'm interested to get it.
Definitely, it's because I felt like it was a huge part of my mobility this year, just being able to take everything.
Yeah,
I mean,
yep,
it worked pretty awesome.
Well, moving on. My next thing is, so I've been using a Spot Hog Fast Eddy XL single pin adjustable slider sight. So I've loved it, but they came out with the Fast Eddy XL um, double pin system now last year. It would have been in 2018. So I just got my sight back from Spot Hog. I sent it in and they converted it for me. So to break this down, what it is it's still adjustable, but it's got two pins. So you've got your in their vertical pins. Um, it's got the one pin, and then underneath of it, it's got another pin right. I mean, I don't know how far it is. I've never really measured the gap, but I would say halfway down the post, there's another pin. So what I like about that is I still like having, less pins and adjustable, so I could shoot up to however far I really want to. But the marker, so when you dial your sight to the right mark or to the right yardage, it's got two markers. So if your top pin's on 20, then your bottom pin might fall into like 35 or 33. It depends on the shooter and the bow and everything like that.
Okay.
To my understanding. So let's say you have a deer coming in and you're set at 20 yards. If you know that, let's say your second pin's at 35, and in the rut, a lot of guys don't like to use the single pins because they're like, well, what if I'm at full draw and the deer makes a move and then goes and I gotta let down and re-range and move. Well, this takes that out of there, the guesswork out. So if you know where your pins are at, if that first one's at 20, let's say your second one's at 35, if you're at full draw and that deer makes a move and goes out a little farther, you should know your distances around your stand. Those should have been ranged and pre-ranged and everything. So you should have a good idea, and you won't have to let down and adjust. You can either gap shoot like a lot of people do with multiple pins, or just use that second pin. If he goes to 35 yards or close to it, you can use your second pin. So I'm really excited about using that. Now, a couple things on that. It is micro adjustable. It's got second and third access micro adjust. It's toolless. You don't need a tool to adjust it. It's silent. I mean, this thing when you're adjusting, you can't. There's no grinding or anything. It's very smooth. It's got a lock-in yardage knob, so when you do get to that range that you want, you can quick and just turn it a little bit, and it locks it in. Your sight's not going to move. Like I said, it's got the double pointer, double pin configuration. So it's got two pins, but it's got two pointers for your yardages. It's all aluminum construction. And I don't know, I just feel like it's going to be pretty dialed. And I use the dovetail. So for anybody that doesn't know what a dovetail is, you have a mount that goes on your riser. And then there's usually a quick set screw that you can, for putting in a case or something like that, you can take that quick set and loosen it and pull your whole sight off your bow. And then as long as you put it back in the same notch when you go back to shoot from what you sighted it in it, you are dialed. It doesn't do anything to your bow. A lot of guys look like, oh, you're taking your sight off your bow. Yeah, but I mean, as long as you're, like I said, using the same mark when you tighten it back on your bow, you're good to go. So that's my pretty big adjustment for this fall, as far as the gear that goes on my bow and everything.
Right. That's cool. I mean, that's like you said, you were able to send your sight in and have it upgraded. So if it's something you want to check out, you don't need to go buy an entirely new sight. You just send them what you got. It comes back with a second pin with all the adjustments that you need, and you can throw it back on that dovetail knowing that nothing else has changed other than having added another pin.
Yeah, it did cost me a little bit to get it converted, but it wasn't really that much at all. And, the housing I had before, so I had a one pin, just adjustable. They let you keep that one pin as well. So it's, if you don't like the double pin, you have that one pin still. I can put that right back on and just use the one pin marker, and I'm good to go. So I can go from one pin, or I can go to a double pin if I want, if I don't like to look at the double pin.
Right. That's cool.
Yep. So what's next on your list?
Man, I've seen so many of these things just watching the YouTube videos because I wasn't there. But one thing I thought was cool is just kind of an upgrade to a product. Wasp broadheads are now partnered with Havalon. They're using Havalon blades on their broadheads this year. And I don't know
I saw that.
I don't know if you ever used a Havalon knife before, but man, that'll open you up quick.
I have, and it's literally surgical. They are surgical knives.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, again, nothing life-changing, but you always want the sharpest broadhead you can get, and the replaceable blades. I think they went to an aluminum ferrule this year. Again, just one of those American-made companies. I think they're out of Massachusetts, if I remember right, but family-owned business, small shop. I mean, they do everything themselves, and I mean, it's just to me, that's the cool stuff. That's what I want to look at.
Yeah.
That's where my money goes. Like we talked about with ABB, it's like stuff's made right here. Local guys, that are in the industry that also hunt, that they understand what the need is and why it's out there, like why the demand is there.
Right.
So to see those broadheads, to see Wasp kind of step up the blade game with a company like Havalon, it's just one more check in the pro column for me with Wasp broadheads.
Right. Yeah, I'm be interested to see how those blades work out for you, and if they really are surgical like a Havalon, then you almost wonder if they might be too sharp. I mean, I don't know I think that could be a thing where they could be too sharp. I really don't know.
Yeah, I don't either. I mean, I think there's probably going to come a point where durability is sacrificed, as far as the cons go for something like that. I mean, like I said, I haven't shot them. I haven't even had my hands on them, but just to know that there is a sharper blade out there from somebody who's already making one of the sharpest blades on the market was kind of a, cool moment for me.
Right.
Other than that, I mean, there's always new stuff. I mean, it seems like it's so hard to keep up with what's new every year. Like
right.
It hasn't been until recently that you start seeing a brand new bow design every year. It was every 2 or 3 years or 4 years or whatever, like vehicles. But now it's like there's always improvements to make on just about anything you could ask for. So it's really hard to keep up with it all.
Yep. It really is. And, the way I try to do it is if it can give me an extra inch in what I'm doing and it's effective, then I'm going to try to switch it up a little, or even just try it. So it's like, the arrow inserts, for instance, this year when I shot Jim Abbott, I did not get a pass through. I hit him high. Now, granted, he didn't, he didn't die, but that could have been an instance where I probably could have had more blood. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And I don't know. It's just one of those things that, that a lot of people have hit deer high or hit deer where there hasn't been a pass through, and this might be the answer. Is this the right version? I don't know yet. But it's a step in the right direction, I feel like.
Yeah.
The next thing is, for me, and this is kind of different than the arrow aspect, like on the different side of the spectrum, but boots. Man, I have not found the right boot yet. Like, because I am a diehard knee-high rubber boot guy, and I've tried so many boots. I literally, the last 5 years, have went through a pair of boots a year and trying different ones, and I cannot hone in on a pair of boots that I'm excited about yet. So if anybody out there can DM me and give me some suggestions on boots, I'd love it. The boots that I've got my eye on right now is Muck boots. I used to use them back when I was in high school, and they did really well then, but I don't know what they've evolved to since. But I need some suggestions on boots, and that's something I'm really going to put a lot of time and effort and money into this year's boots going forward.
Yeah, I would agree with you there. It's, that just speaks to your staying power. If you're in a wet environment or just a super cold environment, or even if it's a dry environment and you don't need insulation. I mean, what are you looking for out of a boot for different situations? Insulated, non-insulated, Gore-Tex, rubber, knee-high, 6-inch top. Like, I think I have as many pairs of boots in my closet as my wife has shoes. And it's like, it's funny to say that, and I don't wear them all the time, but I wear them for different reasons, for different places I'm going or different things I'm doing. So I don't know, it's one of those things that we just kind of go back and forth at each other with, and it's, I don't know.
Yep, I agree. And that's one thing, like you said, staying power and just being comfortable, and
Yeah.
that keeps you in the stand longer.
Yep, for sure. Or on like a spot and stock situation. I mean, you're not going to want to wear rubber boots if you're stalking mule deer in August. So, I mean, it's one of those things.
Yeah.
You just got to find the right boot for the right application. And I'm like you, though. Those knee-high rubber boots are the kind of the go-to, especially come deer season, just because sometimes you don't know what you're going to get into. Water crossings, or, a lot of guys wear them for scent control because, as you're walking, that's where all your scent is on your legs. And like as you're walking through brush, I'm saying, like, all that stuff rubs off, and it's just one of those things. If that's your system, then that's your system, and that's your thing. You're not going to deviate from that because that's what you feel contributes to your success.
Right. Yep. And then I guess we're almost up on time here, but I got one more thing. And, we've kind of been beating all the listeners to death with the run and gun kind of thing, but it's something that's very interesting to not only me and you, but actually a lot of people in the hunting industry. So that's, what we've been kind of focusing on. But the next year, whether it's 2 or 3 sits, I'm going to do it. Or it won't be the whole year, because I've just got areas that I want to put set stands in and just leave them, because I don't know, I just want to. But there's some areas out there on some of my farms that I'm not going to touch until I go in. Not even in the summer. It's just out of sight, out of mind. I think about it, but it's like I'm going to go in at the right time, and I'm going to hunt, and I'm going to set a stand, and I'm going to hang it. I'm going to hang the stand, and I'm going to hunt it. So to combat that, the stand that I'm going to use this year is a Millennium M7 Microlight. And for a lot of people that not familiar with Millenniums, in my opinion, they're the most comfortable stand out there. But they don't offer a lot of stands for like the run and gun like a Lone Wolf does. Like they do a lot of catering to that, or Muddy, or Hawk. They do a lot of catering to the run and gun setup guys. So this was the option that I wanted to try with a Millennium. And to kind of break down some of the things with it is it's only 8 pounds. It's got a really comfortable seat on it. It's all aluminum. It holds up to 300 pounds, so you could have a 300-pound guy on it. The seat height is 20 inches. The platform's pretty small. It's a smaller tree stand. It's the width is 20.5 by 26 in diameter. It's a powder coat finish. It's got backpack straps on it and everything, but I feel like it's going to be small enough to where I can put it in that Insights pack and really go in quiet and efficiently. So what I'm going to do is, so whoever, a lot of people, like I said, might not be familiar with the Millennium setup. So the way they work is they have a receiver that you put on the tree first before you hang the stand where you want the tree.
Yep.
And it's a female end. And that's got a ratchet strap on it. Well, I'm going to do a little modification to it. I'm going to still use that receiver, but I'm going to eliminate the ratchet strap. I'm actually going to get a climbing rope adapter. I can picture it in my head. I can't remember what the name of it is, but it's like a 6-inch adapter that people for climbing use. And I'm going to put that on there, and then with a climbing carabiner, and then I'm going to put like a pull-tight strap, basically like a Lone Wolf would have.
Yep.
So I can eliminate that ratchet strap. So that's just another sound modification I'm going to make. Right. So, when you get up there, the deer don't hear you ratcheting if they're close.
Yeah, probably a little.
So that's going to be
a little less weight too. I mean, you eliminate the material in that ratchet mechanism itself.
Yeah.
If you're carrying 4 or 5 sticks, that might end up being a couple 2-3 pounds. So it's a good idea.
Yeah, and the climbing sticks I'm going to use, Millennium just came out last year with these M250 climbing sticks, and they're a set of 4 of them. They're 2.5 pounds each. So a set of 4 sticks are, right around 2 to 2.5 pounds. So it's going to be anywhere from 8 to 10 pounds for a set of 4. So with an 8-pound stand and let's just say a 10-pound sticks, you're roughly at 18 pounds. And, run and gun, a lot of those guys are really particular on the weight. So I feel like that's on the lower end, so the weight is, there's not a lot there, but they're 32 inches in length, and they have alternating steps. The only downside I can see them having is, a lot of the Lone Wolf sticks and everything, the steps, you can swivel them up to pack them better. These ones you can't. They're set, they're welded in, so it'll be interesting to see how those work out. And then also what I'm going to do is I'm going to use like a stealth strip or some sort of hockey tape or something to put tape all over them to knock down on the metal on metal contact.
Okay.
But other than that, those are my big upgrades, I would say, for next year.
Yeah, like I said, it's hard to pick which ones to go for, but just if you see something that you want to try, do a little bit of research on it, and think about why it's going to make you better. If you don't like it, you can always take it off or give it to somebody else to try. But you're not going to know until you do it. So,
yep.
Unfortunately, it just all costs money.
Exactly. It's like, where do you cross that, or where do you draw that line, and how much money you want to spend for either
for what you're getting,
convenience.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. What you're getting, and convenience as far as stands, and you could do a whole podcast on people and how anal they are about different gear. So it's like, I don't know. It's all in what you want to do, what you believe in, and what works the best for you. So, and I think these upgrades for both of us, I think I shouldn't even say upgrades. Like, they could be upgrades, but trying new things out, I think it's gonna help out. Hopefully.
Yeah, can't hurt you. All you can decide is that it's not for you.
Yep. Before we go too far, though, I do want to let everybody know that didn't listen to earlier podcast this week with Jared, is that we are, the Fall Podcast is partnered up with America's Best Bowstrings, and I'm going to let everybody know that because they've got a great product. Like Justin said earlier in this podcast, is that they are made in the USA. They've got a great product, and go and check them out at americasbestbowstrings.com. And yeah, that's all I got, I think.
Yeah, I mean, talking about gear, that's you can't drive your car without tires, and you can't shoot your bow without a string. So that's a very cheap investment in making your bow shoot faster, look better, and yeah, it's just awesome partnership. I'm excited to see where it goes with the Fall Podcast and having those guys involved. So,
all right, man, let's wrap this thing up. So, everybody, thank you for listening, and don't forget, Monday we'll have an all-new full-length episode right here on the Fall Podcast.